So I guess my surprise is, well, first of all, and I'm glad you said you did your own research, because it really was media driven in the beginning, and there were a lot of false narratives, which that's how the media works.
Mm-hmm.
You really can't just look at one thing and go, okay, that's the truth. You really need to go, okay, let me fact check this. Let me verify this.
Right.
So there were a lot of false truths spread about him. And I'll be honest with you, I don't care about those. It did not do anything to me as far as the questions I was asking, which I felt like enough people weren't asking in the beginning. But before I tell you those, the reactions that I've seen have been, the reason that I've been surprised is this. A lot of pro-gun people, of course, have taken the side like, well, he was defending himself and he should
Right.
have that right. Fine.
Mm-hmm.
You're never going to break those people of that opinion. But then I've seen some people talk about how, if this kid were black and did the same thing in the same situation, he would be considered a hero because it was at a Black Lives Matter protest. So a black kid acted in self-defense at a Black Lives Matter protest would have been considered a hero, which I thought was an interesting way to look at it, only because that was one of the false narratives in the beginning, is that he killed black people. He was a white kid going out there to kill black people.
Right.
Now, I don't know what was going on in that kid's head, but that's not actually what happened. Was that the intent? Maybe. We don't know. We don't live inside that kid's brain. And then Joe Rogan had Jocko Willink on his podcast, and they talked about it. And Joe was very much like, this kid's innocent. This kid had, he was defending the kid, which I was a little bit surprised by.
The whole hero thing. Can you see that going both ways?
I could, absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, I could see, because of it being a Black Lives Matter situation, I could see why they could call him a hero, but I could also see the exact opposite in white media, if that's what you want to consider it.
You're absolutely right. There are two sides to this, black and white, and I can't fucking stand it.
Yeah, there shouldn't be. I get it. Yeah.
Why is no one asking the real question? Why the fuck was there a 17-year-old kid carrying around an AR-15 on the street? Period.
Right.
Period. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So then the whole narrative comes out. Well, he was there to help protect and serve. That's in the beginning, right? He stated that he was there to help people. In fact, people said that they saw him helping people in need. Okay. Here's my question. Why do you need an AR-15 to do so? You don't take an AR-15 anywhere into a public setting unless you're willing to fire that fucking thing. Whether it's in self-defense, whether it's because you have ill intent, you don't take it there unless you're willing and ready to use it.
Do we know
in that case, why the fuck is it there?
Do we know if he's got training with an AR-15? Like in his past, does he have training with this stuff? Like
I think
17 years old. I mean, that's not very old.
No, it's not. Your brain is mashed potatoes. That's my point. Why is no one... That's my point, man. Why is no one going, hey, man, that was a child?
Yeah.
And then part of the story is now that one of the other narratives was he took a gun across state lines and used it to shoot people. Apparently, it was being held for him by a friend. So the laws in Wisconsin are a little bit different. So if a family member holds it for you, blah, 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 blah. Okay. Why are we not asking the question? Why is that a fucking responsible thing? Why is anyone holding a fucking assault rifle for a 17-year-old to be used in a public situation?
Right.
And then the story is, well, there was a specific group of people that asked him to come there and protect them. Who are the irresponsible shitheads asking a child to come protect them in a time of need with an AR-15? No one wants to ask these questions. Gun nuts are certainly not going to ask the question because they're proud that he owns a gun and they're proud that he used a gun to protect himself. So we're never going to sway them, right? But media personalities and people who really like to go on these social commentary rants also are not asking that simple question. They're looking at it as black and white, left versus right, of course. But can we just ask the human question here? Why the fuck was that kid there in the first place? He had no business there.
Right.
Especially if he was willing to shoot someone. If you're willing to shoot someone at a protest, leave. Because you will. things are going to go wrong. You know?
I mean, okay, you're saying he's willing to shoot someone, and we say that because he's taking an AR-15 with him.
No, because he did. I don't care. You know,
Well, okay.
AR-15 makes the story more extreme. Okay, let's say he had a 9mm. Okay.
Well, okay.
Why is a 17-year-old in public with a gun?
Well, yeah, that's the question to ask, right? But
biggest question. It should be everyone's question. No one's asking it.
But I'm saying, like, we're saying he was willing to shoot someone, but if in the self-defense argument, maybe he wasn't. I mean, I'm not saying he was looking to do it, is what I'm trying to get at. Like, just because he's carrying a gun, it may have been just to carry a gun. Now, should even a 17-year-old be smart enough to realize that, hey, if I'm carrying a gun, something can get out of control very fast? Yes.
Yeah, I think we're saying the same thing.
I think we normally are. We just talk in circles somehow.
No, I think we're saying the same thing. But that's my biggest question. Why is anyone okay that this kid was there in the first place?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Like, you say you were there to help people. All right. You're there because you have a gun and you know it's going to, in a very intimidating and threatening way, protect people who felt like they couldn't protect themselves. That's why you carry a gun. That's why you go in that situation. So again, even a 17-year-old is in tune to the situation enough to know that I'm probably going to have to fucking use this thing, and I'm going to. Simple. I find it really hard to believe that anyone goes out into a public situation with a gun unless they're ready to use it.
I mean, it's hard to think that your main stance is I'm going to help people but you also have an AR-15 in your hand. I don't understand how you think you're going to help people in that way. Now, the self-defense argument, do I plan on using this thing? No. Do I want to use this thing? No. However, if I'm going into this scenario, I probably should have something to protect me in case something goes wrong. I can see that part.
Okay.
Is it a smart decision? No, probably not. However, do you just stay home? Because if you think that there's a chance that you would possibly need a gun to defend yourself, maybe stay away.
Yes.
Especially as a 17-year-old.
You're absolutely right. And I'm so glad you said that. And back to when I had Will from the Den 314 podcast, shout out, when he was on the show, one of the things we talked about for quite some time were the Ferguson riots.
Yeah.
And here's the reason I bring that up. We had two different ways of looking at it and two different experiences with this. Okay. He said, hey, I was there and I was probably doing things I shouldn't have been doing. As we all know, since the Ferguson riots, this is how these protests go at night. It's not going to be peaceful. It's not going to be civil. Okay. And he was, unabashedly admitted, like, yeah, that's the way it is. We're angry. Things go wrong when you're angry. And he was like, I'm not going to lie. I was there doing stuff I probably shouldn't have been doing. Now, here's what I said. During the Ferguson riots, I pulled up to the protest during the day, one day, right? Now, my reasoning for being there is, A, it was during the day, slightly more peaceful during the day. And also I was there because as a human being, I felt terrible for all of the human beings involved in the situation. And I wanted to stand by my fellow man. You know what I didn't do? I didn't fucking go there at night. Do you fucking know why? Because I'm white as a fucking ghost. And whether I'm there to help people or not, people in air quotes there.
Yeah.
I shouldn't be there. There's no reason for me to be there. I have no business there. If I were there with Will, he knows I'm there in solidarity. He knows I'm there as a brother to him and all of humanity. But there are hundreds and thousands of other people that don't know that. And just by the sight of my ghostly-like appearance, they might want to get me out of there. It might be a bad fucking idea. And that's my point with this kid. Don't go there. Don't be there. I understand you think you're helping and you're protecting. And the word help really annoys me because who are you really helping?
Yeah.
You're actually hurting the situation by being there. You're causing more chaos. You're walking around with a fucking AR-15. Do you not think you're going to stick out like a sore thumb in this situation, especially as a white kid in this situation?
It also sounds like this kid doesn't have the best influences in his life either. To like, he's probably not been raised the best as far as his ideals and things like that. And also, if he has family who's going to hold his AR-15 for him and things like that, it just doesn't seem like he has the best circle around him either to make the best decisions.
No, I agree. I think it's safe to say that. Look, man. I mean, he's not the only 17-year-old on Earth that has an AR-15. I understand that, and that's the whole problem with gun control and whatever. If people want guns, they're going to get guns. It's the same thing. If you want drugs, you're going to find drugs, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you want a gun, you're going to get a gun. Whether you buy it illegally, legally, doesn't matter. Make them illegal. People are still going to get them. And people of all races, all political influences, and of all ages, they're going to find a way to fucking get them if they want them. But yeah, no, I would say that that's not the best influence to have. No, just a thought. And you're talking to someone who grew up around guns, right? Yeah. I shot guns at a young age. It didn't mean that when I was 17, I would be out in public with a gun. It didn't mean that.
Yeah.
But
it's hard to have a one particular stance on this, I think, just because of I know a lot of people do. And maybe the one particular stance should be, why was he there? He shouldn't have been there. That should be it, maybe. But, the other side of that is, depending on what his thought process was, if he was going there thinking somehow he was helping, and that gun was literally just for self-defense, and he was hoping he would not have to use it, but it was just to keep people away or whatever. Is it possible that he thought he was helping? Is it possible?
Very possible. Sure.
Yes. Yeah. So it's hard. What I'm saying is, it's hard to take the stance of specifically he was there to try to do harm.
No, I'm with you. Yeah. It is very possible that a 17-year-old with mashed potatoes for brains thinks he's helping a situation by being there with an AR-15. Absolutely. When I was 17, I was a moron as well. But I also had people around me that would have been like, hey, maybe you shouldn't do that.
Yeah.
Maybe don't do that. And I'm not just talking about my parents. I'm talking about my friends, other family members. Again, my beef is not with, I'm not on any side of this. I'm on the side of, again, the human element of this. Why the fuck was he there? People died. I don't look at race. I don't look at politics. I don't look at any of this stuff. I'm a human being in this situation. I think it's shitty on all levels. I think it's a shame. I think it's
just
tragedy.
Another one of those things where media wouldn't be media if everybody was just on the human side of things, right?
Well, and I am on the side of being media literate, and you should really do your homework if you're going to have an opinion about this kid. My opinion is he shouldn't have been there, period. I don't have a pro-gun opinion. I don't have an anti-gun opinion. I don't have a, I don't, is people talking about he was a white supremacist, like all this shit. I want to look beyond that and just, as a father, as a son to someone else, as a brother to someone else, as a best friend to many, why the fuck was he there? Period.
Yeah. He's saying that several instances happened that he did not pull the gun.
Okay.
Now, if he was going there to
does he know that? I know people are saying that, but the fact of the matter is, he did. And do you know why he did? Because he was willing to do so. And do you know why he was willing to do so? Because he put himself in a terrible situation with no good ending. With no good ending possible. And the only way that you can keep them from bothering you is intimidating them with that giant gun. It's a dumb situation.
Which he probably went into knowing that that was intimidating.
Of course.
Yeah. So
that is the point.
Okay. So what I'm saying is, it's okay. You're saying that if he took the gun there, that he was planning on using it, or he thought that there's a good chance that he could. Now, the reason why I'm saying that I don't think he specifically took it there planning on using it was because of the fact that there were apparently several instances where he could have, and if he was trigger happy, he probably would have done it in those several few instances instead of waiting.
Okay. I'm saying I don't give a fuck. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
I don't care if he handcrafted a splint for someone who had a broken leg and carried them to safety. I don't care. Good for you. You shouldn't have been there.
Yeah.
And now people are dead.
True. Okay.
It's just, you know, and
but it's not sounding, it doesn't sound to me like he was specific. Okay. Outside of just being there holding an AR-15, it doesn't sound like he was there instigating things to happen to him, right? Instigating fights or instigating.
Can I ask you something?
Yes, go ahead.
Do you feel like the presence of a 17-year-old white kid carrying around an AR-15 is enough to instigate something at a protest such as the one he was at? Don't you feel that his mere presence in the situation was an instigation?
Okay, I'll give you that. I'll give you that. I'll give you that. But what I'm saying is we're not talking about the people who instigated the situation towards him. Like instigated a fight towards him. If I see where you're coming from, just a 17-year-old holding a gun, that looks like you're trying to start something. Or okay, instigate something. Let me use that word again. However, what I'm saying is we're not talking about the other side. We're not talking about the people who actually started this against him if he literally didn't do anything to start. You don't understand what I'm saying?
I do. And again, this is just my opinion. I feel it's very antagonistic for a white kid to show up to a Black Lives Matter protest or a protest where the vast majority of the people protesting and who are angry don't want you there. Right? They don't want you there with a gun. They don't want your help.
Right.
He knows that.
Right.
And by the way, all of those kids don't have guns. They're there with just the sheer rage and fire of being there. And again, I'm not making this a black and white thing. I'm making this the people who were there in protest and who were angry that a man was shot by a cop. They don't want to see some militaristic looking 17-year-old there with a fucking assault rifle.
Yeah. That was a bad decision. That was a bad decision.
His presence is antagonistic and it's calling for something bad to happen. I don't care if he's playing cop, which we're there because a cop killed somebody. So maybe they don't want you there playing cop. I don't care if he's playing EMT. Shouldn't have been there.
Right.
And I understand all the arguments. And again, my side is just simply the human side of this. I don't want to see people die.
Yeah.
Not for politics, not for anything, not for gun rights, not for, I want to stray for you.